Hi, I'm Dan, this is That Midlife Crisis Motorcyclist, and welcome to Ragley Hall, just south of Birmingham, where I'm here to get my first flavour of the ABR Festival. Now, it might be Glastonbury this weekend as well, but by all accounts, this is the only place you want to be if you're into motorbikes, particularly of the adventurous kind. And it's a whole festival vibe with a music stage of its own, perhaps not with Glastonbury-style headliners, but certainly some music. There's beer tents, there's camping out. There's a trade area with bikes and kit where you can see all the latest stuff. You can hear speeches by people who've done adventurous things on motorbikes and might inspire you to do the same. And of course, there's an opportunity to ride your bike around the off-road course and take on the infamous Bog of Doom. We'll see how I get on with that. But yeah, by all accounts, this is an absolutely fantastic event, one of the must-attend motorcycling events in the UK. So I'm really excited to find out more about what goes on and have a bit of a ride around myself. We'll have a think about whether I do that bog or not, and we'll have a look at that when I get there. Anyway, the event's live, people are turning up. Let's get in and find out what's going on. Right, so I've made it into the show, starting to get my head around what is here, and there is a lot to see, starting with this. This is the Voge DS800X Rally, so this is a kind of lighter weight, slightly more off-road focused version of the DS900X that I ran as a long-termer. Looks super cool, only I think $6,999 starting price, which is pretty impressive. So it's lighter and similar power to the DS900, so that looks like it'll be a lot of fun. I'm very interested to ride that, but it's an interesting marker of how the industry is developing, that you've got Voge, Chinese brand, MotoGP, the importer, next door to Ducati, so you've got all the glitz and glamour of Ducati there with the multi-stradas and the Desert X's. I'm hoping to ride a Desert X in a bit, and although it's pretty quiet at the moment, there's a kind of sense of the atmosphere building as people arriving, getting a feel for the event. But it seems like all the major manufacturers are here. You've got KTM over this side, Honda, Suzuki, Royal Enfield. There's a big Triumph presence as well, hoping to have a go on a Scrambler 400X, which would be fun around the off-road course, I think. So BMW over here as well, of course, inevitably. I reckon there'll be probably more than the odd GS turning up today and over the weekend. So, and then as you get over this side, you've got more the kind of the kit manufacturers and things like that. So yeah, a lot to take in, a lot to look at, and a lot to enjoy actually riding some bikes in a bit. Right, so one of the beauties of ABR Festival is that you can actually get to ride the bikes as well as kick the tyres of all the latest bits and bobs. And I thought for this first exploratory loop I'd start out on something friendly. So I'm here on the little Triumph Scrambler 400X, which is a bike that I've reviewed on the channel some months ago now on the launch, and I'm with the guys from the Triumph Adventure Experience, who I joined for one of their off-road days in the south of Wales when I fell in a very deep puddle on a big Tiger 1200. So I thought I'd go for something a little more easygoing with this little Scrambler 400X. I was interested actually when I did that Triumph Adventure Experience by the fact that they run these little 400s as well as the big Scramblers, like the fellow up in front of me is riding. And I was really impressed at the idea that the little Scramblers, seemingly capable of doing the off-road routes that we did on the big Tiger 1200. So yeah, I was really keen to have a go on this bike, see how it does off-road. Hopefully no danger of falling in the Bog of Doom this time, but just riding along here you get a sense of the scale of the event here with the campsite setting up. So yeah, this is the Super Thursday as they call it, so it's the first almost kind of pre-event day of the weekend. You can see people are setting up camp here, you know, for a long weekend of bikes, beers and banter, hopefully all in the correct order. But it looks like they've got the weather for it, which is nice. And I'm excited about doing a bit of a tour around the grounds of the hall here and getting a feel for what there is. So, first bit of off-road, some light gravel. Thankfully dust, not mud. No big scary puddles like there were in Wales. But I'm sure they'll have stocked up the Bog of Doom with some water. Alright, so off we go. So I think there are various loops around the site that you can use for trying out manufacturer bikes, or, as I understand it, riding your own bike if you brought that along. So yeah, if you want to try out some of the newest, latest adventure bikes, they're all there for the taking. Or you can just tool around on your own. So now, given this is a sort of country estate, I'm not expecting anything too wild on the off-road, but it's nice to ride a bike as well as look at them, isn't it? And I'm impressed, this little Scrambler, the baby of the Triumph Scrambler range. We did a bit of off-road on the launch event. Just a few gravel corners and things like that, so I know it's got a bit of off-road capability, but it does look a bit diddy compared with the big Scramblers and the Tigers that everybody else is on, but you know, I'm sure it's more than capable of bimbling round a country estate. And it's fun to do a bit of off-road, especially fresh back from my green laning training that you might have seen on the channel recently with Phoenix motorcycle training. So I'm hardly a seasoned off-road rider, but I've hopefully got a little bit of sense of what to do. Right, so we're off the practice loop now and out into the grounds proper. And it really is a beautiful setting here at Ragley Hall. A big playground for adventure bikes. Even little ones like this Scrambler 400. And I'm glad I chose this bike actually, because it's, you know, it's small and light, and after riding the big Tiger off-road in Wales, I can see why a little bike like this perhaps makes a little bit more sense. I mean, sure, it's not got massive suspension travel or anything like that, but it does have an off-road mode where you can disable the traction control and turn the ABS off and stuff like that. So I can't imagine many owners of bikes like this are going to be using them for serious off-road, but it's good to see that the Triumph Adventure Experience does use them that way, and given that the trails that they ride there, seems like they're capable of taking some pretty serious abuse, more serious than you might have credited for a kind of beginner's hipster Scrambler. And it's quite a nice way just to kind of get a feel for the whole location. So look at the size of these campsites. I'm sure these will fill up as the weekend goes on. There's the hall itself. And yeah, there are worse places to spend your weekend than this, and worse things to be doing than pootling about on an off-road bike in a big country estate. So there you go, that was a fun little ride around on the Triumph. A nice little sense of the venue and the scale with the campsites and all that kind of stuff. I'd say the riding was relatively gentle, just grassy fields, a few banks and things like that. No bog of doom, thankfully, but I think the thing I'm taking away from the event as a first-time attendee is just how big it is, and also how just what is really a niche within the motorcycling community. You know, adventure bikes are just one type of motorbike, but such a huge community of people, and there's a wide range of stuff here. There's product, there's talks. I just walked through a presentation by a desert racer, which was very interesting. There's the Trail Rider Fellowship guys back there, helmet manufacturers, clothing manufacturers, bags, all that kind of stuff, everything you need to enjoy your adventure bike, and also the benefit of being able to go out for a ride as well. I can really see why people love this event so much. Anyway, time to get togged up for another ride around, this time on something a little bit bigger than the Triumph I was just on. Right, so a bit of a change in pace from the little single-cylinder Triumph Scrambler 400 and onto the very much more serious Ducati Desert X Rally, which is a bike that I've ridden before on the channel and absolutely loved, even though I only rode it on the road, which is not really the point of it, because clues in the name and all, but the Desert X is a serious off-road machine, and one of my favourite of all the kind of big adventure bikes, just for the fact that it looks like a proper off-road machine. It looks like a desert racer, doesn't it? So, and straight away the difference between this and the Triumph, this has a lot more suspension travel, and the way it's just gobbling up these bumps is night and day different to the little Triumph. I mean, the track is still pretty mellow, but the bike is anything but. So yeah, concentration levels have increased somewhat, and the intimidation levels, I don't mind saying, I'm a little bit wary of this bike. I love it, but there's a level of intimidation just based on the sheer size of it. I think this is the low seat version, but the full high seat version of the Rally is, the seat's over 900mm. So it is a large motorcycle by any stretch. Not as crazy powerful as a Multistrada, but more single-minded in its off-road focus. But yeah, that's the great thing about this ABR Festival, is the fact that, as I've said before, that you don't just look at bikes, talk bikes, browse the latest kit. You actually get to use it as well. Okay, it's in a pretty mellow, controlled environment. Unless that is they're planning to take us to the Bog of Doom, which I don't think they will do. So these actual bikes that we're riding here today, these are from Ducati's Off-Road Experience Centre in Sweetlam in the middle of Wales, the classic rally venue. where you can go and do full off-road course with these bikes in some properly challenging terrain. So this is in effect a bit of a teaser, bit of a flavour of what you can get there in terms of the bikes and the instruction and things like that. So yeah, if you want to do this properly, head over to the middle of Wales and you can really put the Desert X through its paces, or at least to the extent of your abilities. I've ridden this bike there very briefly on one of the off-road tracks, and it's a pretty full-on venue, so a little bit more involved than riding around a grassy country estate. But you know, at least we're getting to ride a bike. And again, now that the site is filling up, getting a bit more of a flavour of the festival vibe of ABR, because it is a festival. The band's been sound checking, the camping fields are filling up. It is apparently a sellout event, so you can expect this will all be a lot busier as the weekend goes on. But yeah, this is good fun, and I'm enjoying the Desert X again. Still pretty scared by it, but you know. It is way more capable than I am, that's for sure. Ooh, got bucked a little bit off there, so I might just have to calm it down next time I go down that bit. Yeah, there we go. A very different flavour of the ABR Festival off-road track. So there you go, that was great fun to have another go on a Ducati Desert X. Although I've said before that adventure bikes are perhaps not my favourite type of motorcycle, that is one of my favourite modern motorbikes. It's an absolute beast of a machine and really good fun to ride on the off-road course here. But then of course there are bikes for all tastes here. We've got Royal Enfields as well, the Himalayan and the Bear that I've ridden on the channel as well. And overall I've just really enjoyed the event for the feeling of being part of a wider community, and just seeing how many people there are willing to come along and spend their weekend doing this. It's really, really inspiring, and overall the main takeaway is just the friendliness of the event as well. It's just got a really, really nice vibe, a proper festival feel. So if you've never come before, then definitely recommend signing up and getting a ticket for next year. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit like, and if you're not a subscriber already, then please sign up. And for now, I'll say goodbye, thanks for watching, and ride safe.